The meal was perfect. The conversation flowed for 2 hours, and then it arrived. A single piece of paper that created a 5-minute silence that felt heavier than the entire dinner. Why does the simple act of paying a bill so often turn into a moment of social anxiety, and how can we navigate it smoothly every single time? Hi everyone, I'm Sarah, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the fascinating psychology behind one of the most common and sometimes uncomfortable social situations, asking for and splitting the bill. And along the way, we'll learn some really useful English together. Have you ever been in that situation? Everything is going great. You've had a wonderful time with friends or colleagues, and then the waiter places the bill on the table. Suddenly, everyone looks down. No one wants to be the first to grab it, but no one wants to ignore it either. It's a classic sticky situation. By the way, a sticky situation is an idiom that means a difficult or awkward situation that is hard to get out of. For example, forgetting my boss's name at the meeting was a sticky situation. This moment isn't really about the money itself. It's about social dynamics, expectations, and the fear of making a mistake. It's a delicate dance of social etiquette. We worry about appearing cheap if we immediately ask to split it. But we also might not be in a position to pay for everyone. This internal conflict is what creates that tension. Psychologists suggest this hesitation is rooted in our desire to maintain positive social relationships. We don't want to damage a friendship or a business connection over something as simple as a dinner bill. The silence happens because everyone is trying to read the room. Here, to read the room is a really useful expression. It means to understand the feelings and thoughts of the people in a particular place. For example, I read the room and decided it wasn't a good time to tell a joke. So, everyone is waiting for someone else to make the first move, to provide a cue on how to proceed. It's a fascinating and slightly stressful piece of human interaction. But what if you could completely avoid this awkwardness from the very beginning? The absolute best strategy is to be proactive. This means dealing with the issue before it even becomes an issue. It's about bringing up the topic of payment early on, sometimes even before you order. This might feel a little strange at first, but it immediately clears the air and sets expectations. For example, when you first sit down, you could say something simple like, "Are we all happy to split this later?" Or, "Just so we all know, I'm on a bit of a budget tonight, so I'll be paying for my own meal." It might seem very direct, but it is actually a very considerate thing to do. It prevents any confusion later. This approach helps everyone feel relaxed and on the same page. On the same page is a popular idiom. It means that everyone understands and agrees with what is being discussed. For example, before we start the project, let's have a meeting to make sure we're all on the same page. By doing this, you're not just talking about money, you're establishing a clear, comfortable plan. This simple act can completely change the dynamic of the meal, making the end of the evening just as enjoyable as the beginning. It removes all the guesswork. Of course, we don't always have the chance to discuss it beforehand. Sometimes the topic just doesn't come up naturally. The phrasal verb to come up means to be mentioned or discussed. For instance, the topic of vacation came up during our conversation. So, let's imagine you're at the end of the meal and the bill is now on the table. The proactive moment has passed. What do? This is where you need to be a good observer. Look for nonverbal cues. Does someone immediately reach for their wallet? Does someone make a gesture towards the bill? A gesture is a movement you make with your hands or body to express something. For example, he made a gesture to the waiter to bring the bill. If someone else clearly wants to pay and you are comfortable with that, the most polite thing to do is show your appreciation. You could say something like, "Are you sure? That's very kind of you. Thank you so much." It's important to acknowledge their generosity. If you wish to contribute, you could offer to pay the tip or buy them a coffee later. This shows that you don't just assume they will always pay. To assume something means to accept something as true without any proof. For example, I assumed he was coming, but he didn't show up. But what happens when nobody makes a move? This is your moment to step in and provide a clear, simple solution to alleviate the tension. Alleviate is a slightly more advanced word. It means to make something bad, like pain or a problem, less severe. For instance, the medicine will alleviate your headache. You can be the person who breaks the silence, and thankfully, the language for this is quite straightforward. So, how do you actually ask for the bill without sounding abrupt? It's all about polite phrasing. When you're ready to pay, you need to get the waiter's attention. You can do this by making eye contact and giving a slight nod. When they come to your table, you can use a few simple, polite phrases. The most common one is, "Could we have the check, please?" Or, in the UK and some other places, you might hear, "Could we have the bill, please?" They mean exactly the same thing. You could also say, "We're ready to pay when you have a moment." This is a very soft and polite way to ask. Now, once the bill arrives, the next step is proposing how to split it. If you want to pay for yourself, you can simply say, "Do you mind if we just pay for what we each had?" This is a very reasonable request. Reasonable means fair and sensible. For example, she made a reasonable offer for the car. If the meals were all around the same price, the easiest way is to split the bill evenly. You can suggest this by saying, "Should we just split it in half?" Or, "Let's just split it 3 ways." This is where a very interesting expression comes in handy: to go Dutch. To go Dutch is an idiom that means to share the cost of something, especially a meal. For example, "We went Dutch on the movie tickets." It's a funny expression, isn't it? Historians think it might have come from a rivalry between the English and the Dutch centuries ago. But today it's a completely normal and very useful phrase. Saying, "Let's go Dutch," is a quick and easy way to say you want to split the bill evenly. Now, here's a cultural detail that's truly fascinating and can save you from a lot of confusion. The way people handle bills changes dramatically around the world. In North America and much of Northern Europe, splitting the bill is extremely common and often expected. Using phrases like, "Let's split it," or "Let's go Dutch," is part of the normal dining etiquette. Etiquette refers to the formal rules of correct or polite behavior in society or among members of a profession. For example, it's good etiquette to say thank you when someone gives you a gift. However, if you travel to other parts of the world, you might find a very different culture. In many parts of Asia and the Middle East, for instance, the person who extended the invitation is often expected to foot the bill. To foot the bill is another great idiom. It simply means to pay for something. For example, "My company will foot the bill for my travel expenses." In these cultures, arguing to pay your share can sometimes be seen as impolite, as if you're questioning the host's generosity or ability to provide. It's a sign of respect and relationship building. It's not about the money, it's a social ritual. So, if you're a guest, the best response is often a sincere thank you. This is why it's so important to be observant. You have to figure out what the local custom is. The phrasal verb "to figure out" means to understand or solve something. For instance, I need to figure out how to use this new software. If you're unsure, you can always ask a local friend for advice beforehand, or just watch what others do. When in doubt, a polite and subtle offer to contribute is usually safe. You can quietly say to the host, "Please, let me get some of that." And if they firmly refuse, it's best to accept gracefully. And in today's world, technology gives us a fantastic way to solve this problem without any public discussion. Payment apps have really changed the game. Apps like Splitwise, Venmo, or Zelle allow one person to pay the entire bill at the restaurant, and then everyone can easily send them their share later. This is probably the most friction-free method available today. It allows you to sort out the finances privately. To sort out is a phrasal verb that means to organize or resolve a problem. For example, we need to sort out the details for our trip this weekend. Using an app is a great option, especially with a regular group of friends. You can simply have one person pay and say, "I'll get this, just send me your part later." It's quick, efficient, and completely avoids that moment of silence at the table. It lets the wonderful feeling from the meal continue without any awkward financial interruption. Ultimately, whether you're using a direct phrase, a payment app, or navigating a different culture, the goal is always the same: clarity and respect. The end of a meal should be as pleasant as the start. By learning a few key phrases and understanding the social psychology behind this moment, you can navigate it with confidence and ease. To navigate, in this context, means to deal effectively with a difficult situation. For example, she knows how to navigate the complex world of politics. It's not about having a perfect script, but about making people feel comfortable. A little bit of communication can transform a potentially awkward moment into a smooth and simple transaction, preserving the positive atmosphere you worked to create. It just requires a little bit of thought and the right words. It's really all about clear and kind communication, isn't it? These small social moments are what make up our relationships, and handling them well just makes life a little bit easier and more enjoyable. If you enjoy exploring fascinating topics like psychology, success, and real stories while improving your English, please consider subscribing and liking this video. That way, you won't miss our future episodes where we continue to learn about the world and master the English language together. Thank you for listening.